Welcome everyone to the How You Profit Show. And we are super glad you're here. And by we, I mean Ellen, who you'll meet in a minute, and me. We're going to do today what we do best around here. We're going to take one simple idea and flip it into a profit system live. Okay, most content creators get stuck with scattered content, random offers, or here's one for you, Ellen, or expertise they're still trading hours for. Um, and I'll tell you what I mean by that in a little bit, folks. What we're going to do today is build something way better, a system that takes your knowledge and stacks it into multiple offers so your business pays you, not the other way around. By the end of our show, you'll see exactly how we turned Ellen's practice, really therapy practice, into a full offer profit system. And who knows, folks, maybe you could be in the seat next time. So let's dive in, meet Ellen. And there's a cool story. Hi, Ellen. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, Jeff.
Cool story behind this. She's one of Yana's students who I was on last week, or Yana was on with me. And Ellen said, well, I want to go do that show. And boom, she was there. First one from the show. I haven't told you that yet.
Oh,
And so what she didn't know was my background. And when we got talking and I said, well, I did what you're doing for 25 years. What was your reaction?
I don't remember. What was it?
You were pretty thrilled. And I said, yeah, you
Oh,
probably
yeah,
wanted,
because
you probably
you
wanted,
could understand exactly why I needed to make a switch.
that's exactly right. And you got what I say when people ask me, what do I do? I said, well, I traded my couch for a mouse.
That's
So there you go. All right. So let's take a look. I always say take a look, but we're going to talk it out here, folks, for Ellen's flip. Now, your main umbrella is called, oh, I'm blanking. What branches?
Life branches.
Life branches, which I think is a great thing for you. And I love it that your Substack is called that. And I'm glad you're with Yana, who's going to help you build that thing.
Mhm.
And so, and the thing you've been doing is what's called a cohort, where you're working with people live or on camera, but it's live every time. Okay, so you're still trading dollars for hours. Now,
Yep.
it's good to do groups. Okay, one of the things that set me apart in town when I first started was that I'd grown up working with teenagers. I'd worked with teenagers since I was one. And so everybody else in town was scared of them. So I'm like, cool. And I used to run groups of like 40 and 50 kids
Oh.
at the drug treatment center I used to run or help run. And I was the only grown up on campus. And I kept thinking, all it's going to take is about 4 or 5 of them to figure this out. They never did, thank goodness. And so I'd gotten so used to working with teenagers and doing large groups that to do a group in my office of 8 kids
Mhm.
was a piece of cake,
Mhm.
but people would see me going in there and going, "You're going in there with them for an hour?" I'm like, "Yeah." And they say, "How do you do it?" I said, "Well, in the worst moments, I look around the room and go, 35, 35, 35, 35, 35. 8 times 35 is pretty good for an hour, you know?
Mm.
So, um, but it's still trading dollars for hours. So what Alan wants to do, what we're going to start with, is taking that. And I love this course name. Okay, you guys. Let me know if you love this. It's called Unstuck and Unstoppable. Right?
Yep.
Unstuck and Unstoppable. I mean, come on. You ask somebody, would you like to become? Would you like to get unstuck and become unstoppable? Who's going to say no?
I
You
hope
know?
no, not many
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. If they do, they need an appointment with somebody more educated than us, right?
Right.
More letters after our name. Um, and so it's going to become what you're doing now is going to become the Unstuck and Unstoppable course.
Mhm.
That's the core. Now, what you've been doing with people live, is that in modules or is that all at once or is that across weeks?
Mhm. 6 weeks. One
Okay.
1.5 hours, although it typically would go 2 hours because of
Sure.
extended questions.
Sure.
But, every week, same time, same day of the
Okay.
week, so 6
Okay.
weeks.
Yeah, and it's a good gig. But think about the next time you do it live, and we'll talk later about how to structure that, maybe have a backstage pass, so the folks are paying you to
Mhm,
create the course, which is kinda cool.
mhm.
Um, and you can do it over and over as many times as you want, and you can also make it an evergreen course,
Right.
and you just drive traffic there, and maybe occasionally do a live one,
Mhm,
or do one of the 6 modules live, or do a few Q&As live, to put in that component. But the goal is to have you making something with your knowledge where
mhm,
you don't have to be there.
mhm,
Because folks, that's the biggest thing therapists realize after a few years.
mhm.
Okay. Oh, cool. Because when I wrapped up, I was getting 150 an hour cash because I didn't do insurance or managed care or whatever that stuff, damage care, whatever that stuff is called. Um, However, you got to be there
Mhm.
to
Yeah,
make the money, and I never could figure out a way for them to pay me if I wasn't there.
right.
And so you wind up, folks, feeling like you're chained to a chair,
Mhm.
and doing that all day.
Yep,
Yeah.
hour after hour.
Tell me more about that. Yeah. And it's not a bad gig. I still do a little bit of it on the side, but I get it where you want to move from there. Okay. So our core product, Unstuck and Unstoppable course, how we sounding so far?
Good. Here's my challenge. Can I start with that?
Oh, please. Yeah, absolutely.
The cohort's been fabulous, but
Okay.
here's the challenge. As with any professional, my involvement, my moderation, my asking questions and answering questions as part of the cohort has been invaluable. So,
Yes.
about a half hour I spend going through slide deck, talking about whatever the topic is for that week, and then the rest is open up. So,
Okay.
it's
Okay. That's fine.
I'm challenged with how I replicate myself and still be a part of it, because I just don't think having an e-course alone without me, if in any way, is gonna be successful.
I think that's a good call. And there's three ways to handle it. I'll see if I can remember them all after I said three.
Okay.
The first one is what I did early on um, with my first really successful course is I did it twice a year.
Mhm.
I did it in the spring and I did it in the fall.
'Kay.
And if I was doing it now, I would do it once a quarter that way, because then from those people, you could take them and put it into the other things.
Mhm,
Okay. That's one way to do it completely live. Okay. And the benefit to that is you'll get better and better each time you teach it.
mhm,
Okay. Now, a second way to do it is to, like you said, you have the, um, the slides recorded.
mhm,
Okay. And then you come on live for the Q&A.
mhm.
StreamYard, like you and I are talking on later, is really great for that.
'Kay.
Okay. Because they get both. They get the recorded stuff, and then they get it sounds like the highest value stuff is the interaction. Right.
Yes,
Okay.
correct.
And then the third way to do it is, do it all recorded.
Mhm,
Okay. But have a place for people to ask questions
mhm,
that you can answer
mhm,
um, by text.
mhm,
Okay. And there's two ways to do this. There's, what is it called? Stealth Webinar has a way to have a replay on, but you in the background answering questions the whole time.
mhm.
Okay. Now, what I would recommend for you is one or two,
'Kay.
because the live component is so important, and you
Mhm,
have such a strong, caring demeanor about you that we want to have that out there for them. So, top of your head, and this is not in writing, um, one where you do the whole thing live 2 or 3 times a year, maybe 4,
mhm.
or 2 where you do the slides and then the Q&A live. What sticks out the most for you? You can't take there's no wrong answer.
No, I know. Probably the live, but here's my challenge, and this is just because me personally, okay?
Okay.
One of the reasons I started Life Branches was so many people need support right now.
Oh, yes.
And I deal with a lot of women and a lot of midlife transitions,
Right.
divorce, empty nester, changing careers, whatever. Okay. And I don't want it to be so costly that it's prohibitive from anyone joining it.
Right.
So, because I want to help as many people as I can. So I'm kind of caught between if I do it live, how do I get adequate compensation for my time? Because if I can't, I might as well just do my private counseling.
I think that, man, that's a wise question. Well done. That's why either one of those two would work. Okay. Because you're not, if you do it 3 times a year,
Mhm,
every 4 months,
mhm.
um, that's a chunk of time, but it's still less than what you've been doing.
Absolutely.
Okay. And if you did the slides recorded and then the Q&A, you're
Mhm,
still there. Now, the pricing part of it is that um, when we started, we can do a backstage pass that gets them in earlier.
mhm.
I mean, and cheaper. That way, you're getting paid for creating something. Now, what are you charging the people that are in the cohort now? A person.
Right now, I've just done 2 beta launches,
Okay,
and it was free. I told my clients for giving me feedback for the content and ways it can be improved and for testimonials, etcetera, that I would provide it at no charge.
that's a good call, and that's fair. Now, the good news is there is whatever we price it, um, it's going to be more than zero, right?
Right.
Okay. So don't let these numbers scare you. What I'm thinking is regular price of 97 a person,
Okay.
and then a backstage pass of 47.
Mhm,
That way they're paying before you even create it, and you can shut off that backstage pass
mhm,
price at any time. But it
mhm,
gets a lot of buying behavior.
mhm.
How's that sound?
Sounds good.
That would take care of that concern.
Yeah,
Okay, good.
for me personally, I think that would be a reasonable price
Yeah.
considering that my expertise, what I'm the value I'm providing.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Because what do you charge an hour in your sessions?
150.
Okay, yeah, all right. So you're getting that times multiples. Okay, good, good. I like that. Now, where do you see the other three products we create here that's going to take care of some of that um, trading hours for dollars things? Okay, a prequel. The purpose of a prequel product is to get people that aren't quite ready for the course
Mhm,
interested, and so you give them a taste.
mhm,
Okay, and then they go, "Wow, this is really good. Is there more?"
mhm,
And you just happen to mention somewhere in that product, well, you know what? Here's what we can do. Here's your next success steps. Okay.
mhm,
Um, so using the theme of unstuck and unstoppable, my first thought was how to get unstuck guide, like a
mhm,
checklist, video, whatever. But what do you think about this? Because it might be a little bit more of a compelling title and make people go, "What?" How about instead, how to get stuck guide,
mhm.
a guide on how to get stuck.
Well, I'm one step ahead of you because I cheated because since I saw the episode with Yana, I
Yeah.
already came up with an idea, um, called the Transformation Blueprint Kit.
Ooh, I love that. TMK, no, TBK. Okay.
Yeah, TBK.
All right. Let me write that down. TBK, Transformation Blueprint Kit. I love it. I love it. Um, and that's going to get people a win,
Mhm,
and then they're going to want more. So
mhm.
beautiful, beautiful thing. Transformation Blueprint Kit.
So it would just be a basic, how do I get started?
Yeah.
I would put some worksheets in, things that,
Yeah.
they need to think about. But I need your help on pricing on that one.
Okay. All right. We'll do that.
Okay.
Um, and then your sequel product purpose is what comes next after they take the course.
Mhm.
What else are they going to need? Now, have you also gone out ahead and played with that some since you watched Yana and I work?
A little bit.
I'm
Um,
teasing you.
yeah. Jeff, I just wanted to make your job easier.
Well, thank you. I'm loving what I love doing this, but thank you.
Um, is going to a higher level, um, type of mastermind course. So I've
Great.
got all the information. I know where to start. I have an idea, but I need somebody to help me
Right.
do it. Do it.
Yep. A recurring mastermind. And now here's a strategy that's going to make your day.
Okay.
Okay. Because how many clients do you see a week
Oh,
on average? Yeah, that
20
many.
25.
Okay. I I feel you. I saw 25 to 30 a
Me
week.
too. I was up to 30. I cut it back.
Uh, yeah. You almost have to eventually. Okay. So one of the ways to structure a mastermind, okay, is you could do it in a way where you're like overdoing it and burning yourself out and burning them out. I've
Mhm.
done that before. Don't do that.
Okay.
Okay. One of the things you can do that's crazy cool is you can have one live training a month.
Okay.
Okay. Say like an hour live training
Love
and
that.
then one live Q&A a month.
Hmm.
So your service delivery time
Hmm.
is 2 to 3 hours a
Okay.
month, not a week, not a day, a
That would
month.
be awesome.
It's going to be
But what is the max amount of people? If I do it in a large group, I don't know how much value people would get out of it if they can't get their questions answered or
great question.
I purposely kept these cohorts to no more than 8, 10 max, so there could be interaction, and then what also happened is a lot of the women connected with one another because it was a
Okay.
small enough group.
Well, let me ask you this. Um, if you had, let's say you had 8 people,
Okay,
we'll go with what you used to do. Um, and then on one hand is eight, and on the other hand is 80.
okay.
Okay. Would you do anything differently in your training?
No, but
There you go.
it it would eliminate the interaction between people.
It would. There's two ways. There's several ways around that. One is the Q&A,
Mhm,
and you could do that twice a month,
okay.
and still you're only doing 3 hours a month.
Mhm,
Okay. And the other thing you could do, and what you would do is if you did it twice a month is vary the time, so you can get everybody. And we'll talk about time strategy and psychology. The other thing you could do is have office hours,
oh, never thought
or
about
you,
that.
you hop on Zoom and
Mhm,
you're there for X amount of time,
mhm.
and first come, first serve, 10 minutes. They get 10 minutes. And
I can't even stop people after an hour. They're only supposed to get 50 minutes.
yeah, I remember that phase.
Yeah.
I remember that and having to learn how to say, okay, we've got about 10 minutes left. Yeah. Got about and do you remember the phrase, the people that would have and y'all, this is just a fun little thing from the therapy world. Um, the people that would all of a sudden have what I called a doorknob issue. Um, you know what I'm talking about. They're
Uh-huh.
walking out the door, their hands on the knob, and they say, "Oh,
Yeah.
by the way,
Oh,
I killed three
I have
people
one
last
more
week."
quick thing to ask you.
Yes, yeah. The Columbo approach, right? Yeah. Um, and so that's one of the challenges I want to work with you with.
Okay.
Claire is saying, "Hi, Ellen," um,
Hi.
because you can do this in 10 minutes. Okay. It takes practice. It'll feel awkward and you'll feel like you didn't deliver enough.
In 10 minutes, I'm not sure they can tell me exactly what they need help with.
Well, that's you training them too.
Oh,
Okay.
that's true.
What's your question? Here's an answer. The
Okay.
other way to do that, both with the office hours and with the Q&As, and you can do this on a Google Doc, is send out a Google Doc where they ask the questions beforehand.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay. And so you've had time to think about the answer. Okay.
Mhm.
And you'll take the ones that sent them in first, and
Mhm.
then the live ones second. Okay. So I get those objections, and good for you that you care about your people so much. There's ways around it.
Okay.
And so because here's the reason I asked you about the difference between 8 and 80 is when you're doing this kind of mastermind, you're not going to change what you teach no
True.
matter how many people you have.
Mhm.
And the interesting thing about this is you could have 100 people. Like I recently wrapped up being a client in some other kind of thing like this. And of the person's about 700 people,
Wow.
there may have been 15 on any given Q&A
Huh.
just because it's just weird.
Mhm.
It's just weird how people do. Um, the first big ticket thing I bought online was from a guy in here in the Atlanta area that ended up being a buddy, Mike Stewart. Um, it was a $1,500 thing. I mean, I had to clean out 2 accounts to do that,
Mhm.
back then. And like 55 people bought that day at this workshop. I thought, that's a good day, dude. Um,
Mhm.
and it came with a one-on-one consult.
Mhm.
Okay. So I texted him about email. They didn't have text, emailed him about it and said, when can we schedule this? He goes, wait a minute. You're 5 exits further south than I am. Come on over to the lake house. I went, well, okay. Um, and so, and then I asked him, I said, how many people of those 55 have taken you up on this consult?
Mhm.
And I figured half at least. And he
Me
goes,
too.
you and 3 others.
Wow.
Like, and that's just, I mean, we're going to deliver what we promise,
Mhm.
but a lot of the people aren't going to show up.
Okay.
So when we get you up to 800, don't be stressed by that. But we can start at 10.
And,
All right.
I don't mean to sound altruistic. I mean, obviously, I need to earn.
You are sounding caring to me.
Yeah, that's my problem. I care too much, and I wanna make sure
Well, yeah,
whatever it is, whatever it costs, that I'm helping the end of the day, I'm helping someone move forward in their life. That is where I get my joy. The money's great, but I have to know that I'm really truly making a difference in someone's life.
I totally get it. The look in their eyes when they get it and the way their countenance changes.
Mhm.
Okay. Now, the other side of that caring, are you familiar with a term called compassion fatigue?
Yes, I'm
Okay.
getting there.
Yes, I know. Um, the guy that invented it, Charles Figley, is a buddy of mine. Okay. And it's a brilliant thing. I remember when he was first presenting it, one of my colleagues said, yeah, I get this. I got the fatigue. I just don't have the compassion.
I love
And
that.
that's part of why you want to change this before you get there.
True.
Um, so, okay, we got the core, we got the prequel, we got the sequel. Now, the spinoff. And as we talked about in the green room before we went live, uh, is that you're going to get testimonials from
Mhm.
this. Okay. You're going to get people whose lives have dramatically changed. And you probably already have some of those.
I do.
Okay. Now, we got to play with this because and well, you're in Florida. I remember what the rules are from what is it? DR what is it? Department of DBR, Department of Business and Regulatory, whatever.
In Florida, I forgot.
The place you get your license from.
Yeah, I know, it's different
Yeah.
in every state. I've got 5 different licenses, so I can't
Okay.
keep track.
Okay. Anyway, there's things around confidentiality.
Right.
Okay. And so when you're moving from counselor or professional therapist to coach,
Mhm.
that does change that some.
Mhm.
Okay. But it would be really smart to look into all your licenses and see how we can do this.
Mhm.
Because if you're going to get testimonials and do case studies on people, there's a confidentiality issue,
Mhm.
and you got to protect yourself. Um, Years and years ago, it still breaks my heart. This really cool teenager, she and her boyfriend were out on several miles out of town and got playing on a railroad bridge track. Okay, the train came. He got off. She didn't.
Mhm.
Okay, and the parents wanted me to do the eulogy, and I said I'd be honored. And then I said, and there's some stuff we got to talk about. Okay. and one of them was an attorney. I said, you'll understand where I'm going with this. Okay. Confidentiality is huge in what I do, and I'm breaking it when I do this.
Mhm.
Okay. So I know this is hell you're going through, and I'm sorry I got to ask, but I got to get you to sign releases before
Mhm.
I can do this. And they
Right.
perfectly understood it, and it was no problem. And so we can talk more about that because I'm thinking about unstuck and unstoppable stories.
Mhm.
You know, the stories of these people that they started here and now they're here. They started stuck here and
Mhm.
now they're unstuck and unstoppable.
Mhm.
Okay. And that's going to be motivating to people. Oh, I can relate to that.
Mhm.
Okay. Like now, once, because we've done this, every other therapist that watches this is going
Mhm.
to go, oh, where do
Yeah.
I go? Um, at least that's my hope. Um, all right. So that would be the spinoff, which is, I mean, you and I are old enough to realize what spinoff means. It's like Happy Days to
Mm.
Laverne and Shirley or Happy Days to
You're
Mork and
younger than
Mindy.
I am, but I won't count that.
Okay. Okay. But we're close
Yeah,
enough.
we're close.
Um, because all right, you told me how have I told you how old I am?
Mhm. 'Cause I
Okay, so we
told you
can't
how old I am.
I know, so we can't play that guessing game. Okay, fine. Um, and so that's what a spinoff is. It's something different and unique. And now that we have all four of these up here,
Mhm.
and I came up with this idea earlier, but not in enough time to do it today. I think I'm going to start because we can't do slides here, right? I think I'm going to start drawing this out on a napkin
'Kay.
and just show it to everybody. You know,
Mhm.
and what we would see on the napkin is these four things
Mhm.
in a vertical row: prequel, core, and sequel, and off to the side is the spinoff.
Mhm.
And the beautiful thing, Ellen, is all of these feed off each other
Mhm.
and drive to each other.
Mhm.
Um, and it's a beautiful thing. So, um, first question: what are your questions at this point?
One quick one. I'm just
Okay,
starting out on Substack.
right.
I don't have everything up. Actually, today I took a big chance, because I have to practice what I preach, is, take a step and I put up a note
I
for the
saw
first
that.
time. So, but I want people to understand that I've gone through that same journey because I had a very long, successful career in sales,
Okay.
and I went back to grad school at 47 to get my
Yay,
master's.
you. Yeah, you. Where'd you go to
'Cause,
grad school?
National Lewis in Chicago.
Oh, okay. I was thinking it was somewhere in Florida.
No, I'm from Chicago.
Oh, okay.
Moved here about 5 years ago, and so I know the challenges. I've gone through it myself, okay? And it's not an easy decision. It's not easy to do when you know you're not unhappy in a profession you've been doing for a long time, and
Right.
the biggest challenge is what do I do? A lot of people don't even know where to start. So I was just lucky enough. I knew that I had a passion for therapy. And so I did that. And of course, 2 weeks after I started school, after not having been in school for a long time, my husband, at 18 years, decided he didn't want to be in the marriage anymore.
Oh, ouch. I'm sorry.
So it was pretty challenging. So
Yeah.
but it's been the best thing that's ever happened. No, well, not talking about him leaving, but that's a whole
I
different story.
I
But I
totally
mean,
get it.
the best
What
thing
you're
for
saying
me.
is that you've been at the bottom before.
Yeah, and I left. The director of grad school said to me, I'll never forget it. In the interview, he said, "You do realize you're not going to make as much money doing this as you do in sales." I said, "Yeah, I realize that. I'm not doing this just for the money, even though I needed the money." Um,
Yeah, I have
so,
to change that with what we're doing here. Um, let me just answer this because we're going to need to wrap up here in a sec. Um, part of what we're doing on we can do on Substack, and Yana's going to help you with Substack, right?
yeah,
Okay.
she's going to help set it up and all
Okay.
that.
Excellent. Because you can have what's called a hero post,
Hmm.
the one that just explains who you are, and you can
Okay.
tell your story, and you
Okay.
can tell that in lives. Though your story is going to be so engaging on notes,
Okay.
and then in post too. Second question. Um, So far, what's your biggest takeaway from what we've done today?
Just knowing that there's other creative ways to do this. And I'm always open to suggestions and different ways, and I'll try one, and if it doesn't work, I'll try something else. But I love that you understand the connection like I have to the people I'm helping. That I want to do it in large numbers because I wanna help as many people as I can, but I need to have it so that people definitely have some value on it. I want feedback. "Oh my gosh, my life has changed. I was in a
Yes.
dead-end job," or right now in the marketplace, a lot of women in their 50s are being pushed out. Don't
Right.
know what to do.
Right. And they've got such value. And so, yeah, yeah, absolutely. We're gonna God, there's so many cool things there. You care about your people and you want to make sure they get value out of it. And, you know, um, Yana and I have not done this before, but you've put together a pretty good team here
Mhm,
with Yana and this, what we're going to do. And so, and here's the thing I get it about those because you probably hear from people that you've worked with years ago, right?
mhm,
Okay. About 30% of my Facebook, my public profile Facebook, is either kids from that treatment program
mhm.
or their families or other people I've worked with. Um, Now, the funny part about the kids, I mean, they're not kids anymore. That
Right.
was
Right.
40 years ago. And it was so funny when they first started having teenagers and they'd text me or DM me and say, Jeff, now I'm having problems with my teen. Can you help? And
Mhm.
I'd write back and say, as soon as I stop laughing, yes. Um, because yeah, you know. All right. We're in the home stretch here.
'Kay.
So thank you for bringing great stuff to the show.
Thank you
Thank
for
you
your
for
time.
being,
Mm,
oh, my pleasure. Thank you for being such a great guest as well. Now, folks, listen, just listen. Okay. We just flipped Ellen's business, right? Into a 4 offer profit system right here live. And if you're wondering whether you're listening to it live or on the replay, what your business would look like in the profit seat, grab your spot. Let's do it. Okay. The link is simple. It's jeffherring.com/flip. Jeffherring.com/flip. That will be in your show notes as well as Ellen. Is it okay if I put your Substack in there where they can reach you?
mhm,
It's okay if
absolutely.
you're just starting. It's okay.
Yeah, I don't have anything, like, really there, but it's okay.
Okay, that's fine. I'll put there, just getting started.
Okay.
Follow her. She's great. Something like that. All right. So, folks, thank you for being here. A lot of places you could have been online nowadays. You chose us. And thank you, everyone that's here. As I see Earl Brownlee's name coming up here. Appreciate you guys being here. Again, thank you so much, Ellen, for being here, for bringing good stuff and being a great guest. And you and I will talk in about 5 minutes
Mhm,
in the green room. And
mhm.
until then, folks, go use this stuff, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you. Have a great holiday.
My pleasure. You too.
Okay.